will be back on top.
Only this time we're going for the quadruple.
You are joking, aren't you?
The time for talk is nearly over.
With over £4 million in free bet giveaways and huge price boosts, kick off your season with Sky Bet. That's betting better.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. A disappointing afternoon for the Foxes, losing by 3-1 at Coventry. The Sky Blues' first win over Leicester since 2008. Matt Elliott and Liam Moore with me in the studio. Gents, it held out for so long, just couldn't quite see it over the line.
Yeah, I've been very disappointed with how that's played out, especially 25 minutes of the game. For the first part of the second half, I felt they were comfortable enough. Obviously, Coventry was always going to have more possession with the extra man, but they looked solid enough in their banks of 4 and 1 up top. And I think looking back on it, they'll be really disappointed how the first one went in. It's about desire, it's about trying to block shots and realise the position you're in the game, in the table. Backs to the wall job second half, and I think FaZe needs to get up to the ball. The first one goes in, and then I think all composure really goes out the window from there. The manager tinkered with the shape a little bit, brought Hamza on, went as a 5. That kind of invited a little bit more kind of attacks from Coventry. Clearance from the corner, rather than getting it high and wide as you're told, it's dropped on the edge of the box, and when it goes to 2-1, the third goal, again, all over the place. You've got a centre-half way out on the left. You've got centre mid tracking in, and I think they'll be really disappointed. They've been outpassed and probably outfought on the day.
Was that first goal, that was the key one, really? They were
Yeah.
a lot of the ball, Coventry, but weren't really creating much, were they?
No, not too much, as Liam's mentioned there. And I was never feeling that secure, because I thought sooner or later, something is going to present itself to Coventry, and they deserved it as well. I didn't see the 3 goals coming, I must admit. Fell apart a little bit, didn't it? But you just said there that they held out. That was the problem. It turned into looking efficient enough, capable enough to finish off the job in hand, with getting that lead somewhat sort of fortuitously, you might say, or out the blue. But, you make your own luck, winning the game, get the sending off, and then it was, like I say, they looked steady enough. Coventry huffing and puffing, but Leicester in decent shape. But that one goal, it just sparked things off, didn't it? Really, and when it turned into, like, being comfortable turned into holding out, and then you just think sooner or later that the inevitable is going to happen. I know they lasted till the 79th minute, but it came in bundles, didn't it, when it did appear?
Yeah.
And Leicester be really unhappy with the way things fell apart.
We were talking when we were watching that second half that after half time, Leicester couldn't really get out. Matt, you were saying about when in your day you had Emil Heskey, you just boot the ball up too, he can hold it up and sort of get you out. Tom Cannon tried to do that, but it was coming back very quickly. That must be, as a defender, that must be quite difficult to kind of deal with for a prolonged period of time.
It can be, yeah, but I think that's to be expected. The principles aren't going to change, Enzo Maresca, whether it's 11v11 or 10v11, he's going to want to play. And at times, Tom Cameron had the chance on the half volley. And if that goes in, you say, stuck to the principles and won the game, doing it in that fashion. But eventually, yeah, it will start to get on top of you and they will get more attacks. But as we said again off air, it's still 2 banks of 4. If the ball goes long, strikes out the game, it's normal circumstances, 2 banks of 4, let's just defend our areas properly. You might not be able to press as high up as you'd like, but you're still in a good shape. And again, just going back to the first goal, I think that's where a lot of frustration will come from, because they were in a decent enough shape. Yep, they get a little bit of space in the box, but it's that desire and mindset to get up to the ball and realise the condition of the game and to get out of a clean sheet.
Well, let's go through the 3 second half goals then in turn. With that first one from Callum O'Hare, who has probably been Coventry's best player this season when available. He has a little bit of space inside the penalty area and sort of creates something out of what didn't look like a great chance.
Yeah, listen, from his point of view, it's an excellent finish, isn't it? Good awareness, good positioning, touch technique, finish. Again, we were talking while the game was going on. I said, listen, Leicester very rarely get opened up. They look like they're filling the gaps at the right times. Generally, quite hard to break through. They more often not they concede chances either at set pieces or when possession's broken down themselves and they left themselves a bit open. But when they're set up, like a lot of teams, hard to penetrate. Right on cue. The goal was conceded too easily, wasn't it? I had to sort of eat my words a bit. I just thought all the points that Liam just made about getting there and giving your all and going to close down and in an intelligent way, not just a reckless flinging your body left, right, and centre. But Leicester are quite good at it normally. They don't dive in, but they're quite measured. They stand up. They don't give away too many fouls in and around the box. And I was more hopeful than confident, to be fair, that they would see it out. But in that instance, you've got to be aware as well, and people take responsibility a little bit. I don't know if we're going to see the clip in a minute, but players got to look around and see what's happening. Opposition players don't all do bog standard runs and bog standard movements. So you've got to be adaptable, you've got to communicate, or if you see something your teammate hasn't, go and cover for them. I just thought Leicester gave O'Hare, of all players, too much time and space, a little bit slow to react. And then when, again, Liam mentioned it, as Fass came out, he's overcompensated. You've got to know where your keeper is. So he's coming out to the ball, he knows the keeper's, and he's inside right as he's approaching. So Fass has got to block that left-hand side of the goal as best he can. For some reason, he sort of jumped too far to the left and opened up the channel for O'Hare to place it wide of Hermansen on the left-hand side.
In that situation then, as
you've got to know where the goal is.
So if you're almost making his mind up for him, where you've got the goalkeeper one side, if you know that, you block the other half. And
I think you almost want to give the goalkeeper the side that's furthest away, so it gives him more time to react. So this one was on the left. You want to be giving him the other side of the goal. Keeper gets a good vision of his shot, and he's almost already there. Without gambling, he's almost there. On this occasion, the keeper couldn't go left or right because he's gone straight down the line of the ball and not really moved his feet to show him any way. He can then reverse it, which is a keeper's nightmare, or he can go
right at the last second. Sorry, Liam, he jumped out of it, didn't he, to prevent the nutmeg.
The nutmeg, yeah.
And he's actually, in doing so, he's allowed the ball to travel right where his leg should have been. But, small margins, just something to look at and address, I think, perhaps going forward.
I mean, this is an unusual situation for Leicester. They've been ahead in a lot of games. They haven't been down to 10 men too often. So the back four hasn't necessarily had to be defending on the front foot too often. Can it be quite difficult, mentally, to sort of switch into something that you maybe haven't had to do too much all season?
They have a lot of the ball. So there's like a saying of fire and ice. When you've not got the ball, you've got to be on fire, like hot, ready to go. And when you've got the ball, you've got to be in that ice zone where it's like calm, see your pass, play your pass, calm in possession. I think at times today they struggled to switch between them two zones. They had a lot of the ball in the first half, things went their way at times, and then second half it was all heat on them. Coventry were on the front foot, they were trying to win the game. And I think Leicester struggled to flick into that mindset of, right now we're going to really need to defend. And I think on top of that, it speaks volumes of the job that the midfield's done this throughout the season. There's so many tiresome runs that they do to cover the defenders, to cover the fullbacks, to go and take wide areas, to keep them compact and in close proximity of each other. And second half, when you're down to 10, them gaps then get bigger, and I think that was exposed today.
The second goal came from a set piece. Both goals against Millwall last week were also from set pieces, as was Carl McFadgen's goal in the reverse fixture of this. It was something Enzo Maresca and actually Cesare Cassidy said last weekend. That's something that needs to be tightened up. Yeah,
it certainly does. It needs to be addressed. You always need to fine-tune your set piece work, really, both attacking and defending, because it can soon sort of drift away from you. And then sometimes it's hard to fathom what's going wrong, and you go chasing your tail a little bit, and it goes from bad to worse. But I think, in that instance, I mean, I haven't looked at it in too fine a detail, but against Millwall, both times the people were dragged out of position, their starting positions, and those gaps were filled by alternative runs, and Leicester were ponderous, really, and just sort of having a look round, saying, "Well, it's not my man. You know, who's doing that job?" And they were all looking the same way. Someone's got to react.
Was that the thing? 'Cause it was an unusual corner, really, wasn't it, from the far side? It went a lot deeper than maybe
today,
anticipated today. Is
today,
that the reaction
similar but
again?
different to last week, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. But you're thinking, well, hang on, how many bodies do you need concentrated in and around the 6-yard box? Enough for someone to have a clear header, 14 yards out from goal on the angle, albeit. But yeah, like I say, it was just lofted, fast stick. Should be people getting. By the time that ball's travelled all that way, someone's got to be getting a challenge. And from there, it descended, didn't it? You know, back in. Chowdhury heads it out. A little bit harsh to criticise Chowdhury, I think, on that one. But then, you know, then it's a bit of a gamble, isn't it? A good touch. Chowdhury goes to close it down. I didn't think he did anything particularly wrong. Hamza is someone who will go and close the ball down.
Yeah.
But it's eluded him and ended up with the back of the net. But it's too easy, really, considering the circumstances.
I think that's an area that oppositions are working towards as well. Obviously, you've
Like
seen it in the Millwall game, and you've seen it today. I don't think he intended to go that deep, but I think they've realised you've got two big centre halves. You've got Vestergaard, 6'3", 6'4",
Keep it away from
and
them,
Faze
you've
as
got a
well.
chance, isn't it?
Let's go in the second zone. We won't score from the first contact, but the second contact should be us, and I think that's happened again today. Just a floaty one in there.
Yeah.
Guys coming over the top of your smaller midfield players, and then second phase, it's come around and bit Leicester on the bum again today.
Well, if that's your biggest problem, you're not doing too badly, I suppose, at least, which is a good thing.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point, because I mean, you don't want it to become a constant thorn or an issue ongoingly. But yeah, listen, you don't expect a perfect world. Every team's got its chinks in their armour, but yeah, you just look at it. You expect higher standards from Leicester, don't you? Look at every angle, but yeah, it was. I wouldn't say disconcerting today, but it was hugely disappointing, because you expect more of Leicester, 10-man or not. And again, like you said, that they didn't have that proper outlet. I think Cannon can be that, but I don't think he was instructed to be that. I think he was trying to help out the midfield, but they couldn't get the passing game going, could they? No.
And then the third goal, by this point, Leicester kind of chasing. I guess it's in stoppage time. It's a disappointing one to concede, I guess, the way that it happened.
Yeah, again, it's one I'd have to see in a little bit more detail, but I remember at the time looking over and seeing where certain players were, and it was just, as you said, disjointed. I remember seeing Vestergaard out on the left-hand side. You want your centre-halves in the middle of the pitch.
Traipsing back, wasn't it? I think he was trying to force the issue.
Forcing the issue and completely disjointed. And yeah, they got punished again today. It's just going to be really interesting on how they adapt from this, because I think bigger picture, which you've always got to look, you know, it's a game lost, on to the next one. The injuries and the players away at the African Cup of Nations must be a slight cause for concern, because the options wasn't there today to change the game. You know, Tom Cannon's ran himself into the ground. Right, we need someone fresh to come on, preferably a striker, someone that knows the role, and you look to the bench and there wasn't one on there today. So that is something to keep an eye on, but it's a loss. You know, the season I've had so far, you can't get too downbeat about it. It's just about striving for perfection. You'll never get there, but you've got to aim for it.
And that's the thing. The gap is still 10 points ahead of all of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. And next weekend, it's the top two.
Big game, though. Yeah, big game. An even bigger game all of a sudden, isn't it? You know, just on the back of one suspect result and performance. But listen, this team have had dips before this season, and they will do again, more than likely. But more often than not, they react in the right way. They just don't let it get to them, and you know, look at what was wrong and correct it and improve upon it. And you know, lots of things to be learned. Fatawu, you know, he's learned a massive lesson today. And some of the other players would have. It'll be just a little bit of a, not rain check, but you know, a little bit of a time to sort of assess it and go, oh, hang on, it's not going to be quite as big a stroll as maybe we think. There's still a lot of hard work to be done to make sure that nothing silly occurs, but let's just still have the capabilities. But again, if I look at the team, what they are capable of and what they showed today, be disappointed. The third goal, okay, things have gone awry a little bit, but people switched off as well. People were hoping that their man wasn't going to get the ball. Oh, it probably won't land there. Oh, that's a shame. It has landed there. Oh, we're 3-1 down. The game's gone. And they don't know that that wasn't ideal to see. Ideal because you expect them to be a bit more ruthless and have sort of their pride be dented that they're losing the game and do their utmost to get back on level terms, 10 man or not.
Well, the one thing I suppose that is good, the manager of the month curse.
Yeah,
We've got it out of the way before they play Ipswich next weekend. No, Matt, Liam, thank you so much for your company. Enjoyed that. As we say, that's all we've got time for today, but we will be back next weekend for the big one, Ipswich Town, the top 2 in the Championship. Hope you can join us for that one. Until then, from all of us here, it's goodbye.